All directors have their quirks, images that they go back to again and again throughout their career. David Fincher has his fridges, Tarantino his trunk shots. Going further back, John Ford loved his family feasts while Hitchcock was obsessed with trains, and Ernst Lubitsch loved doors. So when Mary Pickford complained that he was a director of doors and not people, it was not without reason. However, all of these quirks tell us something about the preoccupations of the filmmakers. Though her comments may have been snide, Pickford was highlighting one of the key strategies of Lubitsch's approach to storytelling. Indeed, doors are central to his films, both thematically and formally. It might seem redundant to say as much. After all, aren't Lubitsch's films all about whatever it is that people get up to behind closed doors? Take films such as Trouble in Paradise and Designed for Living. Strip back the continental charm, sophistication of its characters, and drollery of its dialogue.
Animal, vegetable, or mineral?
Animal.
And what is left, if not a sex comedy?
In round figures, 0.
Indeed, it seems as though the man himself encouraged this view of his work. However, this is misrepresentative and somewhat undersells Lubitsch. If his work can be distilled into a single theme, then perhaps it is this. All areas of life are separated into distinct spheres, bound by lines of gender, class, nationality, wealth, rank, and it is one's responsibility, duty and pleasure to trespass those boundaries. When viewed from this perspective, it's evident how important doors are to Lubitsch. As can be seen in this sequence, taken from the end of Heaven Can Wait, one way in which doors can be used is as a visual metaphor, a more engaging way to show something that is otherwise visually drab. The protagonist reaches the end of his life, thus concluding the film's story. Though it is narratively important, the manner in which it happens is not dramatic, and therefore not visually interesting. The old man dies in his sleep. As such, Lubitsch finds a different option, a way to suggest, with his camera, if not death exactly, then at least a sense of finality. Indeed, this is the thing about doors in filmic space. They draw attention to the off-screen space. We know what is behind the door, though we don't see. As such, the audience is aware that not all the relevant information is present in the current frame. The concept of off-screen space is one of the key elements of film construction and cornerstone of the continuity style of editing that is at the heart of most English language cinema. And though it is an extraordinarily versatile style, it is best illustrated through the standard editing pattern of shot, reverse shot.
Now we have a close-up, then we show what he sees. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he sees. And he smiles. Now what is he as a character? He's a kindly man. He's sympathetic.
This demonstrates that audiences are intuitively able to take a series of dislocated images and stitch them together into a cohesive sequence. However, this intuition relies upon the assumption of spatial integrity, that each of the shots is just off the screen to the other. And because audiences understand this intuitively, filmmakers take it for granted, rarely mining it for its full potential. This is why Lubitsch's use of off-screen space is so rewarding. Take this sequence from To Be or Not to Be. A concert of reaction shots anticipate the revelation. This is unusual. Reaction shots are conventionally used as the punchline. Here, however, they are the setup. Lubitsch manipulates the audience's implicit understanding of eyeline direction and its relation to off-screen space to build anticipation before making the reveal. He doesn't just use it for gags though, as this sequence from Angel shows. Marlene Dietrich sees something off screen and we cut to show what it is. This is the standard shot reverse shot editing pattern, nothing unusual. However, once Melvyn Douglas pays for the flower and exits the frame, we don't follow him as would be expected. Instead, we stay with the flower seller. Her eyeline tells us she's watching something off screen, in the direction of Dietrich and Douglas. then we are let in. This is elegant and discreet filmmaking, and it has a greater effect for it. The audience infers what has happened through the flower sellers' behaviour, and is then vindicated when their suspicions are confirmed. The audience is encouraged to actively participate. They're playing along with the film instead of passively consuming it. This is what accounts for the strategic use of dolls in Lubitsch's work, the active encouragement of the audience to consider the off-screen space, which in turn enables Lubitsch to manipulate his audience's expectations. In The Merry Widow, the audience knows that the king's wife is having an illicit rendezvous behind this door. So when the king returns, we are primed for drama. Instead, however, doors are a physical indicator of space, both literally and philosophically. As such, as a representation of the demarcation point between spaces, doors indicate to us that these spaces are distinct and therefore mutually exclusive. So whilst an open door invites entry and encourages the crossing of a threshold, a closed door has an equally clear and specific meaning.
Is there anything I can do for you, monsieur? No.
It is the acknowledgement of this and the implicit exclusivity behind it that lays the foundation of the comedy in Ninotchka. 3 Soviet envoys enter the lobby of a swanky Paris hotel, the clash of 2 mutually exclusive worlds. Note again the reaction shot. This sequence, the opening of the film, is a confluence of both doors and off-screen space, and it illustrates how each can work to buttress the other's purpose. Lubitsch leads by transgressing expectations within a reaction shot, which foregrounds the idea of the unexpected and therefore the unorthodox. The joke is not the envoys, but rather the concierge's disquiet at their presence. And this is the point. It is the liminality of doors that appeals to Lubitsch, that though they appear to uphold barriers, they are in fact the means of transgression. And in the same way that his characters use doors to transgress the boundaries of their narrative worlds, he uses the boundaries between shots to challenge the expectation of his audiences.
Hello? Outrageous.